There's an unusual white dot astronauts can see while circling the Earth. It's just east of Las Cruces, and it's a landmark that stands out clearly from the surrounding desert and mountains. So, are you ready to explore Las Cruces and find out what the white dot is? I'm Bud Russo.
And I'm Cheryl Falstead, and we'll be your guides. Today we'll be talking about White Sands National Monument, the largest gypsum dune field in the world. At the end of this podcast, we'll tell you how the dunes formed. But for now, it's enough to know White Sands National Monument is New Mexico's largest and most popular national park.
White Sands National Monument is about 40 miles east of Las Cruces on US 70. Just head over the Oregon Mountains and drive across the White Sands Missile Range until you come to the park.
Visitors to the 275 square mile dune field comprising the park are often surprised to find out how many ways they can enjoy White Sands, whether hiking, sledding, camping, cycling, or even watching hot air balloons. On your visit, you'll want to start at the historic Adobe Visitor Center and watch the short orientation video to get a sense of place and a basic understanding of the White Sands.
From the entrance, you can tour the park along Dunes Drive, a 16-mile round trip that takes you into the heart of the dune field. Many people come just to picnic and play on the dunes. Unlike beach sand, which is mostly silicon and absorbs heat, white sands are cool to the touch and a delight to walk barefooted.
Sledding the steep side of a dune is an adventure not unlike sledding on snow, and yet it's so very different you just have to try it out. You can bring your own snow disc or buy one at the gift shop. If you're as curious as we are, you'll want to hike one of the 4 marked trails, ranging in length from less than a mile to 4.5 miles. One hike is the self-guided nature trail. By the end of the mile-long trail, you'll have a good sense of the geology, plants, and animals of the park.
If you prefer a guided tour, White Sands Rangers conduct an hour-long sunset stroll nature walk every day, about an hour before sunset. At the end of the hike, you're left on top of a dune to marvel at and enjoy nature's way of saying good night. At 1:30 each day, rangers give talks in the shade of the patio at the visitor center. Their topics vary, but are always interesting.
On weekends during the summer, rangers conduct an evening program at the amphitheater in the heart of the dunes. If there's a full moon, there's a special program. You can lay back on a dune and learn about history, the natural history of the Tularosa Basin, and other interesting topics. And you'll also get to enjoy the beauty of the full moon on the White Sands.
Then there are the really special events.
Just before and after the busy summer season, White Sands holds its full moon bicycle rides. The event is popular and fills up fast. Reservations begin a month before the ride. Now, bicycles are welcome in the park anytime it's open, but cars and trucks are prohibited for one night, and bicyclists have it all to themselves as they ride the 16-mile round trip along Dunes Drive. There's a $5 fee for riders 16 years and older and $2.50 for younger riders.
Once a year, the Alamogordo Astronomy Club holds a star party so visitors can see the heavens up close and personal. In September, at 7 a.m., the ascension of hot air balloons begins the 2-day White Sands Hot Air Balloon Invitational. Imagine the colorful balloons drifting in our clear blue sky over the pure white sand, a truly breathtaking experience.
There are also tours to Lake Lucero, the nursery of the White Sands. It's usually a dry lake, revealing the curious selenite crystal sticking out of the ground like a dragon's scaly back. Because this 3-hour trip takes you on to the White Sands Missile Range, reservations are required. There's a fee of $3 per adult. Children and visitors with a Golden Age Pass pay $1.50.
If you're a camper, White Sands has 10 primitive tent sites about a mile from the trailhead. You have to reserve one of these backcountry campsites in person on the day of use.
Regardless of what recreational or educational activities you choose to enjoy, you'll want to bring your camera. Photographers and shutterbugs alike find amazing photo opportunities at every turn.
Most people find White Sands a novel and amazing experience, and many wonder where the gypsum dunes have come from. The easy answer is to look at the white stripes in the San Andres Mountains on the west of Tularosa Basin. There are thick layers of gypsum in the mountains, which the wind erodes and rain washes into the basin.
The gypsum originally was deposited on the floor of a shallow sea about 250 million years ago, when New Mexico was part of Pangaea, the megacontinent that broke into the pieces we recognize today. Millions of years later, the forces that lifted the Rocky Mountains also lifted the mountains we know as the San Andres and the Sacramentos. They were once a single mountain range until the land beneath collapsed, forming the Tularosa Basin.
About 12,000 years ago, this area had a lot more rain and snow, and the water dissolved the gypsum, which ran into the basin, a 200-mile-long lake once called Lake Otero. Because there were no rivers draining the lake, the gypsum remained and settled on the bottom.
Over time, the lake slowly evaporated, allowing the gypsum to crystallize into selenite. And, over time, the wind and weather broke up the crystals into the tiny grains of sand that form the dunes. This area is now called Lake Lucero and is where you'll visit on the special tour.
While you observe this fantasy land of pure gypsum dunes, keep in mind it is also home to a great many unique species of animals and plants. So much so, White Sands has been called the Galapagos of North America.
Many of these plants and animals have adapted so perfectly to their surroundings, they are now considered distinct species, and in some cases are found nowhere else in the world. For example, Eric Metzler, a scientist who studies moths, has found 14 moth species found only here.
Like all natural ecosystems, White Sands is fragile. The rangers want you to enjoy your visit, but please pay attention to their few simple rules that protect this unique place.
White Sands is open year-round at 7 a.m. and closes at sunset, except for summer months when you can stay until 10 p.m. Check the park's website, www.nps.gov/WHSA, for exact dates and times, as well as lots of other information to help you get the most from your visit. There's a $3 entrance fee for anyone older than 15, and your Golden Age Pass is welcome.
If you're an astronaut circling Earth, all you get to see is the white dot. But when you come to White Sands, you'll see a lot more. This podcast is sponsored by the Las Cruces Convention and Visitors Bureau
and produced by Explore New Mexico.